Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio, and I thought today, since I've been in the mood to play with my design space Cricut and my Cricut and design space, I'll get it right here in a second. I thought we would create this. Now, some of you may recognize this as a spool or a bobbin, and there's a lot of different places that make and sell these, or dies that you can buy to wind your ribbons on. But what we're going to do is we're going to make our own today, and I'm going to show you how I made this, and we're going to use a couple of other. This is going to be a long video. I'm going to warn you about that right now. I don't plan on doing a lot of editing, and I'm just going to kind of play with this and see what we can come up with. I will share the files, though. You can go to the comments and find my link for my Facebook group. So I will share anything that we create today, but I just wanted to warn you, it's going to be kind of lengthy. I'm probably not going to put timestamps in it. It's just going to be one long run-on video. So sit back, relax, grab something to drink, and let's get started. So as you can see, went ahead and created this just so I could show you. And the reason I put this hole here is I hang a lot of stuff on pegboard in my craft room. I will say, though, that it is kind of a pain because the ribbon I want is always at the back of the peg with 4, 5, 6, whatever other spools in front of it. So I've designed it with this little slit in top, kind of like the memory decks, if you're familiar with those, where they have the little slit in them so they just slide in and out. I'm hoping that this will help solve my problem and I can just slide stuff on and off of my pegs instead of having to remove everything to get to the one I want. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of describing why I've done this up here. But for now, let's go ahead and get started, and we're going to recreate this. And I'm going to show you, I've pulled a couple of images, or shapes I should say, from Design Space already, and this is our basic body for our spool here. And then we're going to try different combinations of these things up here just to kind of get an idea of what we like. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this one because we're going to use this a bunch. We may not use it that many times, but we're going to use it quite a bit. And we're just going to get them all centered in one little spot over here. So we're going to take one. You know what? Before I do that, I'm going to rotate all of them 90 degrees because I like to work with it in the portrait versus the landscape view, and that way I don't have to keep rotating each one as we come to it. So we might as well just start at the beginning. Well, this is the one I used first, was the oval. And I'm going to pull all this down here to the center and kind of enlarge it just so it'll be a little easier to see. So there's our the body of our ribbon / twine, thread, floss, whatever holder. And this will be the top, and this just helps keep everything from sliding off the end. See, if we just left it like this, straight up and down, you know, your stuff would slide right off the end. So we want to put this on there just to kind of help keep it from doing that. Now, obviously, I need to adjust my proportions on here, so I'm going to hit my unlock button up here. And then I'm going to, let's see if it'll let me grab a hold of that. I guess I need the handle. And we're just going to slide that down. And I think I need to slide it out a little bit as well, because I want to make sure that there's room to actually wind some stuff on this bobbin. So there you go. That's just kind of a rough shape. We're going to duplicate it. And when you're doing this on your own, feel free to play with it as much or as little as you like. If you have kind of a vision of what you want, just keep working with it until you get it look the way you want it to look, or that you're happy with it. So I've selected all of these 3 pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to align and center them horizontally. And they were pretty center already. Now I am going to move this down a little bit. What that will do is it will shorten the body here in the center. You can elongate that or shorten it, whatever you want to do. In fact, I will just do a longer one just so you can kind of see. And so now we're going to select everything again, and we're going to combine and weld. And there you go. And it even looks like a spool. How cute is that? So to make the little hole in the top, what I did was I used the circle and one of the rectangles here. So let me duplicate the circle, and we're going to have to resize things here because they're way too big. Now this part is optional. If you do not want to hang yours on pegboard or something else like that, you don't have to add this part to it. And you know, if you've got a box or some other way to store them, I would just leave this off, but you know, it doesn't hurt to have it on there. So we're going to resize this again. We're going to unlock our proportions, and we're going to shrink this way down. And so we're going to, I think when I previously did it, I had that at a 3 for the height, which is now the width, excuse me, because we rotated it 90 degrees. And then I dropped this down to 0.7. And then the circle that's the hole, I just sized that until I thought it looked right. That's probably a little big, but... And then what I did was I centered these two up. Before I do that, I'm going to duplicate that a few times. Well, just once for now, I guess. So I'm going to select both of those again. I'm going to line and center horizontally. And then we're going to combine and weld. And then we're going to center horizontally here somewhere on our spool toward the top, obviously. And I might pull that down just a little bit more. And then we're going to select both pieces and we're going to slice. We'll remove our sliced bits. And there you go, you have your hang tab. Now you could make this smaller or larger. You could just even make it a slit. I do worry over time that that will weaken the edges of the cardboard here so that it might not stay on your pegboard, but since I haven't actually used this method yet, I don't know how many times you'd actually be able to pull it off. It's really going to depend on you, how heavy a cardstock you use and that kind of thing. But as you can see, it was really easy to create this spool. So we're going to zoom back out. Spool or bobbin, call it whatever you want, depends, I guess, who's using them. So you can see they're a little different, and that's great. That's what we wanted. Now this one, I'm going to group that together. And I won't put this in any of the rest of the, actually what I'm going to do, well, I'll leave it grouped, in case anybody would prefer not to have that in there. And you could always fix that by welding another oval over the top. You're going to want to try to get the right proportions and everything, but that's not probably impossible to do. So anyway, I told you this was going to be a long rambling video. So I'm going to start with this, and this one I can work with it this way. You know what, I'm going to put that back up there and I'm going to duplicate it. I didn't do that with the oval. I forgot to do that. So pull this down here, and then I'm going to take and I'm going to rotate this, let's say 45, and we're going to pull it right up like that, and I'm going to duplicate that one, and we're just going to flip it. So we'll flip it horizontally. That way we know we've got the same angle and we don't have to do any math. And okay, that's good just to play with. So I'm going to align all those at the top, and I'm going to weld, combine and weld. There you go. So now it's just got a cute little shape on it. So we'll take and duplicate that. In fact, I'll do it a couple of times, and that way we can move one to our pile of stuff that we'll save in case anybody wants to access the file later and play with this. Now these are all free shapes. So you don't necessarily have to have a membership to Cricut Access to use these. That's my goal, to keep it free. We'll see. Sometimes I forget, but I think we can do this without adding anything that's not a part of the basic Design Space software. Okay, so we're going to take this one and we're going to flip it vertically. Oh, yeah. No, I guess we want to flip it horizontally. Well, it's not flipping. What the flippin' flip? Pardon me. Huh, that's interesting. Oh, well, I think we're all confused now. That shouldn't have been... Well, maybe it should have been. I don't know. All right, so that's a cute shape. We may need to resize them, but we'll see here. We'll pull over the body of our spool here, and let's just separate these a little bit. And I think those are still too big, so let's just shrink them down a little bit, kind of get an idea. You know what? I'm going to take and I'm going to unlock my proportions, and I'm just going to pinch that up a bit. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. But I have to unlock again. And I believe we were at 1415. So that's a little smaller. Well, we'll just type it in. So then we've got 2684 and 2698. I'm just trying to make them the same size. So 2.684 by 1.415 and 2.684 by 1.415. Okay, so those are the same. And it doesn't matter a whole lot, but all right, this I think I just need to we're going to unlock proportions again. And I told you, we're just playing. I don't really have a plan, so if this seems like it's all over the place, it's probably because it is. Okay, that's not bad. So we're just going to select all three pieces, and then we're going to align and center horizontally. There we go. And now we can combine and weld. And there you go. Now your spool's got cute little frilly edges, which is, something that some of us like. So now we've used the circle, or no, we've used the teardrop. You could essentially do the same thing with the circle. Once again, I want to duplicate that. And then I'm going to duplicate it some more. So I'm going to, let's see here, I want to start with kind of a even number, just something to keep track of. So that's 1.4. So we'll make this one 1.2, maybe. There we go. And then we'll make this one 1 1. Okay, so just kind of playing with this here. I'm going to try and align them at the bottom just to see what that does. And then I think I will align and distribute horizontally. That way it's just more evenly spaced. Alright, well, let's try that. I'm going to group it real quick and duplicate it because I have another idea. Then I just want, oops, I guess I want these two smaller ones here. So now I'm going to duplicate those, and I'm going to flip them horizontally, and we'll select everything and align it at the bottom. And let's just to make sure we've got it pretty even, we'll distribute horizontally. Well, that did not work. But honestly, you know what? Let me group these two. Well, and try that again. Oh, now it won't let me. So we'll just call it good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine and weld. Now you see how that's different. We've got 3 scallops here and we've got 5 scallops here. So it's not a lot different. It's just a little different, you know. Bring one of those down and we're going to duplicate this. And then we're going to flip it vertically. I like it when it works. Okay, so I'm going to just minimize those a little bit. And that was probably too much. We'll see here. Alright, so we select all of it and we align and we center horizontally. Let's see how that pulls everything right in line. And then we're going to combine and weld. There you go. Now that's kind of cute too. So in short time, minus this one I started with, we've done 3 spools / bobbins. Now what I should have done was I should have saved that. I'm going to back up real quick. Just to undo, I'm going to duplicate this just so we have it over here in our little pile in case we want to use it again. Now I'm going to just weld it again. There we go. So there's our 4 spools plus our extra bits. Just put those up here. So let's go back and grab these 3 and I'm going to turn on my grid. There we go. So I'm going to put them, line them up on the line here, and I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to select the middle one and I'm just going to move it down. So I just hit my down arrow key 10 times. And on this one I'll do it 20 times. Okay. So I'm going to slide this in a couple, let's see, let's try 5. And this will be 10. Now you see how it's given a kind of a different look here to that one. So we're going to highlight these 2, and we'll group them, and then we're going to duplicate them. We'll drag them down and then we're going to flip them horizontally, and we're going to do I want to, well, let's try horizontally and see what it does. It didn't really do anything. So yeah, I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and combine and weld. And I'm going to duplicate it 2 more times because I want to move this one over here to our saved shapes. And this one we're going to take and we're going to flip it vertically. And we're going to pull over one of our rectangles here now. We're going to have to resize that. So I'm going to unlock my proportions. And then we're going to slide this down just so we have a little bit more body there. Okay, so we're going to select all 3 pieces, align and center horizontally, and then we're going to combine and weld. And really the key to learning this, if you're not already familiar, is just repetition. I still forget where things are sometimes, but that's why you can undo. You can undo using this arrow up here, or I do Control Z because that's usually quicker for me since my hands are already on the keyboard. I'm just going to resize some of these so that we can keep a few more of them on the page. But you can kind of see how those look a little different. These scallops are a little bit flatter. They don't have quite the curve to them that these do. And again, it's all just personal preference. Come up here with that one. Alright, so we've used, I'm not going to do anything else with the circles, but you could continue playing with those and making them smaller and kind of until you get a look like this. In fact, we'll just go to that one next. I'm going to get rid of these. I'll just move this over here and we're going to duplicate it. We'll do it twice. Well, now I'm going to delete that one because I want to size this first. So here's where you have a couple of options. You can cut this in half and then use both halves, which might be the way to go. Let's try that. Let's just grab one of these and we're going to flip it back to 0 degrees. And if this is, let's see, let's make this 3 high. And then we want this 1.5 high. See what I did there? I took half of 3. I am going to make this wider though, so it will cover the entire scallop shape or flower shape. So now what we're going to do is we're going to align at the bottom. And that's technically half right there. But this is the thing I've noticed with this shape, and I'm going to zoom this in just so you can see it better. This intersects with this scallop really nicely, but over here not so much, and it's because this isn't centered perfectly up and down. I have done that before. I cannot remember the exact measurements to get that closer. So we're just trying to rotate it and see if we can get it. And what'll happen is, excuse me, we'll get it flat up here on top as best we can. And I think best way to see that is to line it up with that. And you can see it's not quite flat. We've got a little bit more. We've got a little bit more of a lip here. So we're going to rotate it just a little bit more, and we'll pull it up and see if it lines up. And you could also use your align keys to align it to the top. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now when you cut it in half, you're going to get a kind of an odd shape. Because it doesn't intersect these lines quite where we want them to. So, well, let's just go ahead. I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to group it just so I can move it as one piece over here to the side. And let's just go ahead and slice this and see what we get. And a lot of times, that's, for me anyway, that's what this process is about, is trial and error. What works for me, what doesn't work for me. Okay, whoop. We're going to get rid of these pieces here. And what are those little dots? Oh, well, we'll go to contour and get rid of those. Must not have had it perfectly lined. It looked good, but apparently it was just a little bit off. Alright, so now you kind of see, I personally wouldn't use both of these on one spool, and the reason is because they're different. The top isn't the same as the bottom, so I would choose one that I liked better and duplicate it. And in this case, I would probably choose the top one because of this, the way this kind of just comes to a tiny little point there. Let me zoom in, zoom out. That's going to be, what's the word I want? It's not a, I wouldn't say a flaw, but it is going to fail as far as it's going to get bent and wrinkled and curl up because there's just not enough structure there to hold that in place, or to hold it, let it hold its shape over time. So I would not use this one, so I'm going to delete it. This one we will try, and I'm going to duplicate it, pull it over, and then I'm going to flip it vertically, and we're going to line them up center horizontally. Now I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like this one either, but we'll try it and see, because I really just wanted to show you what you can do with circles. Let's just make these, resize them a little. So here you go. You've got these crisp edges, and you'll notice on these other spools they kind of come in and out of a curve. Again, I just feel like that's a weak point that's going to fail over time. Also, I don't really like the way it looks, so I would not use that. What I might do instead is take this piece here, I'll duplicate it, and what I might, oh, I did not mean to do that. Okay, so what I might do instead is kind of reposition it here where I think it might look better, and then we'll slice it. Get rid of the debris. Yeah, I don't think I'm happy with that either, but I could make it work. No, I'm going to undo, so I'm just backing up, and what I'm going to do, oh, I didn't go far enough. There we go. I'm going to pull it into this one maybe, or even, yeah, we'll do it this one. Okay, so let's try and slice that one more time before we move on. That's got, well, let's go click on that and we'll go into contour. I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in. See how it's got this little pieces out here? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into contour, and we're just going to turn those off. We could go back and delete them if we wanted to, but it's just for practice. So yeah, I'm still not loving it. There's something I'm not getting here. Let me turn off proportions and stretch this out. And nah, not working for me. But anyway, you get the idea. There's all different kinds of ways you can play with this. So let me zoom back out. So I considered that one a fail, but we could play with it more and make it work if we wanted to. I'm not feeling it today. This would work pretty much the same way the circles would work. So let's duplicate that, and a couple of times here. And let's just bring all those over. You know what? Keeps doing that. Let's align and center those. And we're going to zoom back in just to make this easier for you to see. I'll pull those down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to rotate this one, let's say 30 degrees. No, we got to go further than that. Let's say 60. What if we pull it down then? Let's see here. Yeah. No, not really working for me. So you kind of maybe would have more luck positioning it manually to get the idea. But then you've got all of this down here to work with. So unless you're going to do a lot of these scallop pieces, I probably wouldn't mess with those. So that leaves our heart. And you're thinking, ooh, a heart. What are we going to do with the heart? Well, I don't know yet, but I do know we're going to duplicate it. We might as well do a couple of them. And we'll come to bring those all down, and we'll zoom back in. What I got up there? There's some little dots on that one too. We're going to get rid of those. Okay, so our heart. Well, we could use it just the way it is if we wanted to. Let me grab one of those spool pieces. We would want to enlarge our heart though. I'm going to change my proportions because I'm probably going to squish it. Oh yeah, see? I like that. And I like that this angle is not so aggressive. Let me zoom back in. It's not as aggressive as a right angle. It's got, you know, a little bit more forgiveness to it, and I personally like that. Now this is very right angled looking, but for some reason it works for me, whereas the ones that we just were working with didn't. So again, it's personal preference. You make it look the way you want it to look. So I'm going to duplicate that. If I can remember where my duplicate button is. Bring it over. I'm going to flip it vertically. And then I'm going to, excuse me, I'm going to select all of them and align and center horizontally. Now that's quite a long spool, and I don't think we want it that long, so I'm going to move this up until I can see that the body of the spool underneath. Now that still could be a little bit long. But let's go ahead and do it. Let's just play with it. So there you go. It's not as good looking that way, but you know, it is what it is. Let's try it again. I'm not ready to give up on this heart. Alright, so I'm going to rotate this one. Let's try rotating it 30 degrees. And let's see what that does. And you can see this kind of all gives us the same rough shape as some of these others, but just a different way of doing it. Duplicate that one, and we're going to flip it horizontally and pull it in. Yeah, let's combine it and see. Combine and weld. Alright, there we go. That's not too bad, right? Let's come back over here, grab one of these again, and we're gonna, well, we're going to select this that we just welded, these three hearts together. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to flip it vertically. We're going to bring it over, and we're going to center horizontally, or align and center horizontally. And that's not too bad. Let's combine and weld just to see what we get. Okay, I like that. That's okay. So let's go back down. I think it's just easier to use my plus and minus. So anyway, you see we're getting quite a few of these here. Is there anything else we can do with the hearts? Let's try one more thing. So let's pull all these down. I am going to get rid of this because I just didn't like anything about that. And we'll pull one of these down. Alright, so what can we do? What can we do? I'm saving one of those because I got an idea. What about something like that? So let's just try this. Let's do I'm going to do a line at the bottom, and then I'm going to align and distribute horizontally. Okay, now I'm going to take this heart and raise it up till I think it looks good. I kind of like that. So let's group those together, and I'm going to make a copy. And let's go ahead and weld those. And we're going to just copy that so I don't have to keep going up and finding one. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to have to obviously do some resizing here. Yay. So let's unlock our proportions here. Come over this way a little bit. Okay, and let's duplicate this. We're going to flip it horizontally, or vertically, excuse me. We're going to bring it down here, and then we're going to line everything horizontally. I think I'm going to make the body of this spool a little shorter. How short do I want it? Alright, let's try that. So let's weld. Combine and weld. That's interesting. I don't hate it. Pull that over to the side. Grab our 3 hearts again. And here's where I was thinking doing something different. I'm going to flip this vertically so that the point is now at the top, and kind of come up here like that, and maybe even duplicate it and see what it looks like. Let's go shrinking it down a little bit and duplicate that. Now I will say that the points on these hearts kind of fall into that category I was talking about earlier with the being weak points, but I think they're okay because they're not on the functional part of the spool where you're going to be wrapping them. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Alright, so let's align everything horizontally and just see what that does. Nothing really, except moved our hearts away. Let's line those up. Okay, so let's pull it back over to where it looks good, and do the same with this one. And I'm going to bring this to the front, I think, because I want to be able to see these little hearts in the back. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to see the crosshair here in the center of the selection. I just want to line that up as best I can in the center here, which it doesn't want to line up apparently. So let's try this one. Yeah, that's pretty close. So that one's a little bit on the outside, and this one's a little bit to the outside. Okay, so let's go ahead and combine and weld. It's different. I don't know how I feel about it. It's different. So let's duplicate this. We're going to flip it vertically. So you see a lot of this is just repetition. Now what we need to do is we need to unlock our proportions, because we're going to resize this. And I think that will work. We just want to make the body a little bit longer. Alright, so we'll select all 3 pieces. We will align and center horizontally, and then we're going to combine and weld. And there you go. It's kind of reminds me of the Taj Mahal with, I don't know why. But anyway, so there you go. So you can just play with these designs until you're absolutely sick of playing with them, I guess. But you can see how easy it is to create spools for your threads, ribbons, laces, flosses, twines, you name it. And then I will leave this little piece here in case anybody wants to add it. That's up to you. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to, let's see here, I'm going to hide a bunch of this stuff. I didn't save all of these anyway, so I'm going to group it and hide it. And I'm going to do the same with this stuff here. I'm going to group and hide. So there you go. You've got lots of spools to play with. And I'm not making any of these today. I've got some already cut out with some of my dies that I had. This one just looks funny to me. I don't know, there's something off. It needs another little circle or something at the top and the bottom, but that's for another day. Well, you know what, while we're here, let's just play. I told you this was going to be a long video. Let's grab a shape, and I'm going to grab this guy, and then I'm going to flip it. You know what, let's flip it this way, it's easier vertically. Oh, why does it keep doing that? And let's just come in here and let's center it horizontally. Okay, and let's make another copy of that and flip it back the way it came, and let's go a line to the left or the right. I'm going to combine and weld those two pieces, and then I'm going to select those two pieces, align and center horizontally, and then I'm going to combine and weld. Oh, okay, so that's very similar to this one here, except that these are more rounded like ovals, whereas these are circles. So anyway, it gives you some ideas, and I will again share this file. You just have to join my Facebook group, which is Expressions Craft Studio, and it is linked below, and you can have access to all of these spools yourself. Feel free to make any changes or whatever, and you know, let me know what you think. I'm sorry this was long and rambling, but I knew I was just going to be playing, and I didn't want to I just don't feel like editing. So there you go. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio.